time. Next up, we have Greg Alchin, and he is an accessibility ambassador. And he's also an expert that Apple use from time to time to help them with product design with Apple, especially given their accessibility products. He's also an inclusive design consultant, which is technical word for if you've got a website or an app and you need someone to talk to help make it accessible to the blind or visually impaired, Greg helps you out. He's going to share his technological expertise about all the exciting accessibility innovations coming up and what you can use for day-to-day practical matters for accessible technology. And I have to say, this has come a long way since I was a teenager. And when I was a teenager, accessibility was something that was expensive and rare. And now it's pervasive and everywhere. It's fantastic. It's really changed the game. He's also been invited by Apple to address the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific later this year. And he's going to be providing them his expertise on topic of accessible books. So I would like to introduce Greg. Everyone give him a round of applause.
Thanks, Matty. Okay. 2009. 2009 is etched in my brain. Does anybody know why 2009 would be etched in anybody's brain? Yes, this young lady here right in front of me. You bet. That's right. It had nothing to do with the fact that Barack Obama became president, though that was pretty cool, nor the fact that Michael Jackson sadly passed away that year. It was because the iPhone 3GS came out, and I was lucky enough 2 years ago to meet the guys who actually invented VoiceOver. And the nice thing was they said, our design brief is that a blind user can use the phone as fast as a sighted user. And that's a pretty cool design criteria to say, yeah, anybody should be able to use it. We don't care whether you've got sight or not, we can all use it at the same speed. And so, yeah, I'm very passionate about that. When we first started talking about accessibility on these devices, because they have been, and they are, game changers for us. Now, I've got to say, my full-time job is still with the education department. And yes, where I still continue to hassle teachers and other people in our department about creating accessible documents. So all students can participate on the same basis straight from the start, because that's what it's about. That's good teaching. Good teaching is allowing everybody to participate from the start. But I do all this other work on the side. Russ doesn't sleep. The cool thing is we had VoiceOver. Then we've got Zoom. Then we've got a whole stack of other features like speech selection and you name it. So I've got friends of all sorts of varying abilities. Because remember, variability is the norm rather than the exception. Right? If I was going to quote Life of Brian, yes, we are all individuals. Yes, go Life of Brian. But it's true. Like I've just been playing with iOS 9, and what's really good from an ageing perspective is there's a new features coming in iOS 9 called touch accommodation. So for people who have fine motor control issues, there's a whole new section of accessibility issues that are about to roll out in the next couple of months. But what I want to do is just play propeller head for a second. Okay, we've got this thing called OS, the operating system. And what was cool is Apple built all this accessibility features in the phone. And they continue to build each year more and more. They have a saying there, which is that inclusion inspires innovation. And I think that's pretty true. But why is that really important, to build all these accessibility? Because that's changed assistive technology, hasn't it? We don't buy separate AT devices anymore. I talked to my good friend David Woodbridge. He used to talk about having to basically carry a large suitcase. You know, I needed the Daisy reader, I needed this, that, and everything else. He had to take a large suitcase with all the goodies. He doesn't anymore. Why? He just takes his phone. Because the assistive technology is now mainstream. But by making it into the base of the operating system, It then meant that they built these, what I call the Lego blocks, the APIs. So it meant that other developers could go, right, I want my app to be accessible. I want it to work with VoiceOver. I want it to work with switching, or I want it to work for hearing impaired. The APIs allowed all these developers to quickly and more easily do it. So if you find a cool app and you go, oh, look, it's great, but it sucks for, doesn't work properly with VoiceOver, contact those developers and say, guys, go onto the Apple developer site because there's some really cool APIs there. You can use the language that way that you can use to make your app accessible, and you can reach a whole new market. So then we've got the apps, but what I don't want to talk about today, because we've got 1.5 billion apps on the App Store. It's a good thing and a bad thing, because how the hell do you sort through 1.5 billion apps? I want to talk about the devices. Not Apple's devices, but I want to talk about everybody else's. On the screen, I've got this little piece here which talks about iOS. This is my version of maths. iOS plus an API, plus our phones have, and our iPads have Bluetooth, and they have Wi-Fi, so they're industry standard things. They give us independence. Because just like Jody was talking about, I'm stuck, or this young lady here in front of me in the blue coat was talking about, hey, I could just get my phone out, I could check on the map and it could tell me. We needed the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi in there so it could go and quickly talk out to the cell tower. So that map could do it, but that map used those APIs to talk to VoiceOver, to talk to the operating system. So they're all the little bits of the puzzle, but it builds independence. Now, I'm about to show a video of a dear friend of mine, Christopher Hills. Christopher is 18. Christopher has cerebral palsy. He has no ability to use his arms or legs. He has minimal speech. I'm just going to do a slight audio description. We're starting off here with his mother on the balcony having a drink on their house outside. Chris has just rolled up in his wheelchair and he's just raising his chair. In the front of his chair is his own iPhone. His mum's taking a photo on her iPhone and Chris is doing the same. Now, the question is, how the hell is he doing it? Now, Chris has a wonderful line, I am more powerful than you think. It's a great hashtag. Now, Chris has a single switch on the back of his chair and he controls everything on his iPhone through that single switch. Christopher is also a qualified video engineer and he now runs his own video editing business. All from one single switch on his iPhone or on his Mac. Why? Because the accessibility is built in so we can all take benefit of it. Now, all this cool stuff, this is what makes me passionate. Why? My left eye is a prosthesis, right? A plastic fantastic. I've had that one now because I'm 54. I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm happy to be a grandparent now. So I've had that since the age of 6. I've been legally blind in my right eye. So when they say blind in one eye, I can't see out of the other. Yes, that is me. I've been legally blind in my right eye now since 1986. Now, last year I got lucky enough to go to Vision 214. It was the 11th annual Blindness Low Vision Conference down in Melbourne. In conjunction with Vision Australia, Apple and a few of others, we set up a house in the middle of the conference. And the house had a bedroom, bathroom, lounge room, kitchen. The whole idea was to show mainstream technology, not assistive technology, not adaptive technology, just stuff we could buy at JB Hi-Fi or Harvey Norman or anything else that we could use that we know talked to the operating system, that talked with VoiceOver. So we set up this bedroom, a lounge room, and a bedroom. I'm just flicking through photos, but I want to get past the kitchen to all these different apps. The first thing was a thing called AirPlay. Now, here's my friend David, and we're sitting there watching Apple TV, and somebody comes up and says, why does a blind guy want to have Apple TV? And he goes, well, it's kind of like this. He said, I'm a parent. I like to be able to choose the shows that my two sons watch. And because Apple TV, of course, has voiceover in it. No, an Apple TV is just a little square box, about $99 at, as I said, JB Hi-Fi. He said, I can choose what shows I want to watch because they're only 7 and 8. But he said, hey, there's a hell of a lot of shows I like to watch. I use AirPlay. Why do I use AirPlay? Because if I want to, I can seamlessly connect my iPad up onto a computer, onto a TV screen, and I can then, of course, play games. So it becomes my large monitor. I don't have to buy an expensive third-party specialist screen magnifier. I use my iPhone or my iPad and a $99 device which I connect to a normal TV. I'm buying mainstream technology. I'm not buying adaptive technology. Why do I like the AirPlay speakers, like these Harman Kardons that are in front of me, apart from they have a gorgeous shape? They look like a big bell. There are no wires. And if any of us who know have vision issues, wires are not our friend. All right? They are a trip hazard. And that's why it's so lovely to see everything gaffer tapes down here out the front. But there's a whole stack of speakers that run with AirPlay. The beauty of that is if you had them throughout your house, you could just use AirPlay on your iPhone or your iPad and move the music around the house as you were moving around. Same as you can use Bluetooth, which is another industry standard. What we did in the house was we had a whole heap of things. And I'm going to take us through them. We had a Fitbit and we had scales and we had stuff for cooking and game playing, some nice headphones, some earbuds and health issues. Let's have a look at a couple of those. Okay, the first ones I've got on the screen here are called by Aftershocks. They're called the Blues 2. They are Bluetooth headphones that were made originally for runners. They go around your head at the back there and they sit outside of your ear. They are really good. They're bone conducting ones. They're about $99. Why are these good? I love the Apple earbuds, but they create a problem for me, particularly if you're a voiceover user in traffic. I don't want to become a bonnet emblem. It allows me very easily to listen to the traffic, but also to listen to voiceover. So Bluetooth speakers of any sort, but hey, these are for runners. If they can stay on a runner's head, hopefully they will stay on my head. Where else are they good? Not just only for running, but they're really cool for the classroom. Why? It means that I can still listen to what VoiceOver is telling me on my device as I'm reading all the text, but I can still listen to what the teacher and my friends are saying. So I can be more active participant in the classroom. Just with a set of mainstream headphones. The two I've got showing on screen, yes, you can get the basic black, or you can get ones that are bright wraparound reds, or a lime green, spider green. Now, the other thing we had at the house was this thing called, by a company called Parrot. It's their flower power. Now, we had a herb garden. Now, if any of you who have... Well, I'm a brown thumb. I'm not a green thumb. But the only book in my backyard I'm writing at the moment is What Weed Is That? This is a little device that you can put into a herb garden. What's nice about these things is that it has an app and it has a huge plant database. Now, what it will say is if you had said to I'm putting this in next to dill, or I'm putting it next to basil, or I'm putting it next to a geranium, it'll say, right, I know how much water, how much sunlight and everything else they have. Because how do we know how much water we're supposed to give coriander? Do I put my finger in the soil always just to do a test? I don't want to necessarily do that. But if I've got a Parrot flower power device, it will then say, it'll give me a message. And it'll say, please give your coriander a drink. Okay? It will also tell you the soil temperature, how green your leaves are. It's great. Okay, they're not cheap. They're about $70 each. You can get them at a whole range of places, but this technology is going to keep coming down in price. The fact is, though, it's out there and it's now mainstream, though. The other one are by a company called Withings, Withings, Withings Wireless Scales. They have an app which is free. The scales are about $200, but the thing about the scales is it will tell your weight, your body mass index, a whole stack of other stuff. But of course, the app works with VoiceOver. It also has a nice large screen. So for me, who has some vision, I can't get down there and read, even with some of the larger ones, I can't read that. But of course, since it's coming up on my phone can tell me that I should be eating less chocolate. Eye Health are a huge company. Now, these guys have, on the screen here, I've got the wireless blood pressure monitor. And it's one of the things that they're showing at the moment. Now, it was interestingly there that we had this in the bathroom, and we had quite a few people who came in who found out their blood pressure was a little bit too high. But again, this works with VoiceOver. So yes, you can independently monitor your own blood pressure and a whole range of other pieces. It's just a little cuff that fits around your wrist, and the app works on your iPhone or your iPad, and the iHealth app is free. People have talked about other things for independence, because this is what this is all about. We're using mainstream technology to increase our independence. The most independent device I have is my phone. What have I got in here? I've got 2 apps showing on the screen. I've also got a lady about to use one of those apps, and it's one put out by Bupa, the health fund. Now, I'm with the opposition, I'm with HCF, but I love this app. This app has a barcode scanner, and I can go up with that app and I can scan any food, and like the example I used on mine was, I love Old El Paso taco shells. I could scan the app using my phone, hit the the barcode. It will then tell me what the salt and sugar and fat and all those other bits and pieces, but then it will tell me what are lower salt or lower fat or other healthier alternatives that are still taco shells. But it uses a traffic light symbol, so for those of us with some sight, has the red, yellow, green, so we can get an idea very simply and easily about the quality of that food, but it also works with VoiceOver. What else is next to it? The Woolworths app. Now, Coles have got one now too, of course, which are apps that are freely available that allow us more independence in how we shop. What's nice about, I know from the Woolies, because that's where I shop, I can go into any Woolies anywhere in Australia and they're pretty much set out the same way. So I know when I go into aisle 9, whatever's in aisle 9 in one store is in aisle 9 in another. It also helps a lot of aged people. Not that I'm saying I've got blonde highlights; they're not called grey hairs, but it helps you remember where things are quite easily. That's right. I'm not old. I've just had a very hard life. Okay, for a 21-year-old. Now. No, I'm not. Now, I have this other interesting device on the screen at the moment. It's called a Belkin tablet stage. Now, this Belkin tablet stage, the base of it is a flat piece of metal. It's about an A4 sheet of paper in size, actually just a little bit bigger. And in one corner, it has a pole, which is about 5 centimetres in diameter, and it's about 30 centimetres high. It also then has a little tray on the top where I can put an iPad in it. Now, they were originally designed for the classroom so that a teacher could just throw their iPad up into that. It's also got a little light on there, and they could display what was on using the camera on the iPad, they could display what was showing on the tray down the bottom there up onto a TV or a monitor or whatever they wanted to. You could use it for that, but I think there's other reasons for that. Now, what have I done here? On a photo, here's my ugly mug down here at Vision 214. I'm showing it up on a TV. I've got a bill. I'm using an app called Vision Assist. There's a whole stack of screen magnification apps out there, apart from just the good old pinch and zoom. But it allowed me to very simply and easily, because this thing, because it's metal, it's got weight in it, I can knock against it and it's not going to knock over. They're about $250, all right? But the beauty of that was that it gave me a nice, simple, consistent spot to put any paperwork that came into me. I could magnify it on my iPad, but if I wanted to, I could make it come up on my TV. So I could just use mainstream technology. I didn't have to have another piece of specialist tech which is worth thousands of dollars, which sometimes people use and sometimes don't. Now, as I said, my good friend David Woodbridge was down there. Now, David said, yeah, look, that's really good, but yeah, David relies on voiceover because he's blind. What did David do? He said, let's give it a crack with Prismo, which is, of course, one of the other apps that I had up on there. It's an optical character recognition app, one of quite a few that are out there. And David was able to then go, right, because he could have a consistent spot to put the document, he could read his kids' report cards because it would scan it. Yeah, so sucked in kids, mum and dad can still see it. But they could scan it and he could have it read to him via voiceover. Apps that are worth a couple of dollars. He already had the iOS device, and yes, he could fit his phone in there or an iPad mini or whatever device he needed to put in it. What it does create is a nice stable spot to put my iOS device. So I don't have to hold it with the shakes, hoping it's coming in and out of Zoom. And that's what it is. What I really loved, we had I love, for some people, the specialist large screen devices will be something they may or may not need. But it rattled the chains of those guys because they're going, how much is this? And we said, it's $250. And we said, I can go to a local store and buy it. And I think that's really powerful. Why? Because now, Jenny, where are you, Jen? Yep, up the back. We're just talking about, the needs of a particular student to see the board. One of the nice things, because mobile phones have got so popular, what's happened? Nobody's buying low-end cameras nowadays. What are they buying? They're phones. That's the most up. If you go onto Flickr and everything else, the uploaded pictures are all from phones. But Sony made a lens that can just clip on to your phone or to your iPad. Beautiful optics for a couple of $100 because they said, well, we can't beat them, but we can do something to go with it. So that's how they've reinvented the bottom end of their camera market. But it's great for the classroom, because it's a little device that can fit in my pocket that means that I can see the front of the classroom, give me better optics than what I've just got on my phone. And this is what it's about. It's about flipping things around. It's about us flipping our mind about how we can use the mainstream tech. Okay, teenagers, it's okay, admit it, who likes a long shower? Yes, okay. Now, Fox Creations. Fox Creations make a set of wonderful Bluetooth waterproof speakers. Okay. Now, yes, you can buy them from Amazon, a whole stack of other ones. And, of course, these are on the Apple Viz site. So if any of you are on the Apple Viz site, it's great as a community site. There's a nice review of these. So, yes, your phone or your iPad could be by the bed and you're pumping this out into the speaker that's in the shower. I do not want to be responsible for the fights and the bash on the door. Can you please get out of the shower? Okay. Now, the Apple Watch has just come out. Again, go on the Apple Viz site. There's some great reports about that. And it's also, again, it has voiceover in it. That's this whole thing. That's why I'm passionate. I don't work for Apple, but I'm passionate about their stuff because It's inclusion that inspires innovation. The fact that I can have this and I can have a device which enables me, and they are waterproof. There's one guy who's now been swimming laps in pools and oceans with it, though Apple just says it's water resistant. Though I don't want to test that yet. I want to talk about some other technologies. One's called iBeacons. Now, I'm quite excited by these. The iBeacon is about the size of about half the size of your palm, and it's a little Bluetooth device that you can just bung on the wall anywhere. Now, what's cool about these? They were originally designed for commercial purposes. So I could be going to the football, and of course, if I've got my phone, it'll then, as I walk past, it'll say, "Hey, Greg, hot dogs are on special here now for you," right? Now, because it can send signals that way, you can target a certain bandwidth, like a breadth, but also a depth. How are they using iBeacons in the classroom? I'm now going to classrooms in America where the kids walk into the room, and what happens is that it goes, "Right, Jenny, I know that you're in Year 9 Science and it's period 3. It automatically downloads the resources onto your device as soon as you hop in the classroom." And being America, what are they also doing? When you hop on the school bus, the bright yellow school buses to hop home in the afternoon, it's also sending an SMS to your parents to say you've hopped on the bus, because there's actually an iBeacon on the bus. Where do iBeacons have also a lot of capability for us? iBeacons, imagine you're walking into a new building and you're going, "I'm really busting. And if I don't hurry up, I'm really going to need that set of undies by Jody," you know? Now, if you've got, as a lot of places now have their maps uploaded, iBeacons can direct you to those facilities. And as you walk past, it'll go, "Hang on, I'm back here." So it gives us independence. It also enables me, like I love art. I go to a museum. I've got a problem when I go to a museum though, because they have these squidgy little signs. Matty, you'd be like this, mate. There's a photo, and you go, beautiful artwork, and you stand back to look at the photo, and then there's a sign about 5 centimetres by about 6 centimetres with the artist's name and something about it, and you go, "How the hell am I supposed to read that?" Particularly when it's down low enough that I have to bend down all the time to read it. But if there are iBeacons, like if I'm down at MoMA in Hobart, I can pick that up on my device instantly. So what am I doing with this? All those kids that are learning software design in years 11 and 12, I've just been setting up some projects with some of the schools to get them going, "Well, guys, those guys are going to be learning stuff in computing studies. Why don't you do something productive with it? Put an iBeacon in your school and make your school more accessibility friendly, as well as teaching them some coding in the process." Lastly, HomeKit. HomeKit's really, really exciting. HomeKit, because we've got the Bluetooth, of course you've got the Wi-Fi, it's what else can you now control in your house? When we talk about smart houses, again, what will this mean for us from an independence perspective? So what can I do for temperature? What can I do for lights? What can I do for opening and shutting doors and gates and everything else? So on my left is looks like a little square, a little rectangular prism. It's put out by a company called Elgato. It's called the Eve. Now, Eve is a temperature sensor, a humidifier, air quality monitor, inside and out. Anything that is HomeKit enabled works with Siri, works with VoiceOver. Next to it is it's an American set of PowerPoints at the moment. But these are smart PowerPoints, which means, yes, I could take my existing lamp or existing technology, plug it into a smart PowerPoint, and I could control it with the app. That's why I'm excited, and that's why I play techie for a sec. We got to understand that there's all this accessibility built into these devices. And Apple has made all these APIs, just like a lot of all the other companies do. Microsoft, Samsung, all of them have put out APIs for their developers. It's just that these guys do it the best. And you've now got HomeKit. And so I can go into mainstream stores, I can buy different lights I can turn on and off just by a Siri command. Now that's going to be life-changing for so many people for various reasons. But it's mainstream technology. And as I said, it's got Siri. Now, okay, where can I find out some more stuff about all of this very quickly? If you've got an iOS device, you've got iBooks. And I love iBooks because for me it means that every book I buy is a large print book. I don't have to worry about going to get a large print book anymore. So, Jeanette Davies. Therese, where are you, my dear? Okay. Jeanette Davies is a wonderful friend of both Therese and ours, mine. She's got a brilliant book called iPad Tips and Tricks with a focus on accessibility. That's not her only book. She's got a great book on dyslexia as well. But if you want to learn, you're going, okay, I've got to learn how to use this device nice and simply. Jeanette's book is free. Now, Therese, how many zillions of downloads has there been? Yeah, we have lost count. Hundreds of thousands of downloads of Jeanette's book. It's free. And Apple's promoted that one. We've also got a book called I See. David Woodbridge from Vision Australia. Now, David, a big shout out for David. David is recognised as one of the best beta developers and testers, I should say. Does some great work with Vision Australia. David's the only guy I know who can, when he's noticed a bug in their product, he can ring them up or send them a message and they answer pretty much straight away. The developers do back in Cupertino. That's the respect with which David Woodbridge is held by Apple. So he's got a book called I See. It's everything you want to know about using any Apple technology from a blind person's perspective. So very authentic voice. My good friend Dr. Luis Perez from Florida. Luis has retinitis pigmentosa. He's got a wonderful book called Supporting Students with Low Vision Using Apple Technology. Again, it's another free book on the iTunes store. Louise has another little book called A Touch of Light, Photography for All Abilities. Why? Because VoiceOver, when you turn it on and you've got the camera turned on, it will, of course, tell you when somebody's in frame on the shot. It'll also tell you which way their head is facing. So Louise is a father. He's got a 14-year-old daughter. He's losing his sight, but he still wants to photograph his kids. What's his camera? His iPhone with VoiceOver. So it still allows him to chronicle his daughter's life, as any proud parent loves to do. And as Maddie mentioned, I've got my own little book. It's about inclusive design for iBooks author. So it's assisting publishers to be how to create accessible documents and how to create, in this case, an accessible iBook. And that's the one that's got me to go across to the UN conference in Shanghai in December. Again, a big shout out to the Apple Viz community. They've got some great resources, great reviews on there. But just this last line, when we talk about inclusion inspires innovation, what it does is that by designing in the flexibility in this device, it enables us to personalise it because our needs are all unique. And to quote Monty Python, yes, we are all individuals. We've got the features in here to personalise. We choose the apps out of those 1.5 billion apps that are out there, right? We choose the apps that we want because I have a preferred OCR program. You have a preferred one. You've got a preferred email program, this, that. It's one of the conversations, isn't it? Oh, what apps are you using? But because it's utilising an accessible system and they've built the Lego blocks for us to connect into, they can make apps so we've got choice. And now we've got options, and we've got all these other things that are going to increase opportunities, increase independence. What does it mean? It's going to continue to change. It's always going to continue to change. That's exciting. It's also frustrating, because what it means is we really have to be a lifelong learner with the technology, because there will always be more and more features. Thank you very much.